This video is going to show you how to configure a Pocket Developer building block from the API guys. Once you're logged into the portal, which is here, you will see a list of Pocket Developer building blocks that you have bought but have not installed in this left-hand column under Unfinished Business. So in this case, we see the AnyText Anywhere block that has been bought but has not been configured. So to configure that building block and install it, we click on Configure and Install right here. So I'm going to click on that. It's going to give you a product page with some important information. Here's a short description of what this block does, some information before you start, what's going to happen after that, and telling you that you're going to receive some emails and so on and so forth. The important information here is it's telling you that it is about to ask you for your FTP credentials and your Infusionsoft application name and API key. You cannot configure and install without those things. So you need to go find those before you hit this green configure and install button, which I am going to do now. It's going to have this pop-up window. The first one it's going to ask you to configure is your FTP credentials. So I'm going to use our trainandsimple.com server here. The server name, it says may be the same as the domain. In this case, it is. However, it may not be. Train and Simple for FTP just requires the domain. However, many servers will require something like ftp.trainandsimple.com or host1.trainandsimple.com. It could be also an IP address that you could put here. Whatever it told you when you created your account with your hosting company or whatever you have currently in your FTP client, that is what you are going to want to put here. The port 21, that is the generally the port for FTP, so unless you know it's something different than that, you should leave that alone. Then you're going to want to put in your username for your FTP credentials as well as your password. When you hit next here, this green button, it is going to actually test these credentials. If it is successful in being able to reach your FTP server, it will move to the next item to be configured. Otherwise, it will give you an error message. So I'm going to hit next, and we'll see what happens. Okay, so since we went to the next item, which is Infusionsoft, we know that it was able to successfully connect to my FTP server. Now here you can give your Infusionsoft application a nickname. It cannot have spaces, and it says right here, this is how it's going to, most of the times you just use your app name, which I'm going to do there. Then your app name does go here, as well as your API key. Which I happen to have ready to paste, but you would need to go get that from your app if you don't have it already. And so when I hit next, the same thing's going to happen. It's going to test these credentials to make certain that it can connect to your app via API. So if not, you'll get an error message. When I hit next, it's going to say, you'll see the little gear going, and then of course it will say, congratulations, you've successfully installed. Okay, great. When you do that, what you need to do then is hit done. Now, the one thing that we will do quickly is, and I would recommend that you do as well, if you then log on via FTP to your site, the one where you installed this, sorry that I can't make this bigger, but just to test or just to know that it was in fact installed, if you go to your public HTML folder, sometimes it's called www or public HTML, where we install the Pocket Developer building blocks is in a folder called scripts. So if you had it already, we will just put it in there. If not, we will add it. Now I've got a bunch of stuff in that folder, but you are looking for another subfolder called Pocket Developer. Inside Pocket Developer, you will see two folders, Services and Blocks. And in Blocks, you will see any Pocket Developer building blocks that you have installed. In this case, AnyText and AnyText.php. And with that, you know that AnyText is on your server and ready to go. So you can now take a look at the Quick Start Guide that was sent to you via email to get started with using AnyText to do some really cool stuff.